All right, today we are going to be talking about content marketing strategies. What are these strategies and how do we implement them into our business? Ready? Buckle up, cue the theme song, and let's head on in.
I ran marketing departments in corporate America for 10 years and then ran a digital agency for over another 10 years. So I know the roadmap to online success, and that formula always includes producing content to share your message, from your marketing message to sales and delivery. Hi, I'm Jennifer Neal, and you're listening to the Content Toolbox. I believe the secret to finding and creating raving fans online is through you. In building relationships through stories that share who you really are, create genuine, crazy, raving fans that keep begging you to take their money. And on this podcast, we'll be talking strategies, tactics, tips, and more with myself and other industry experts. So buckle up and start your engines, because it's go time.
So what are content marketing strategies? What exactly is it? How do we create a strategy and how do we use it in our business? So I wanted to give you guys a really comprehensive answer. So I'm filming this here at my computer because I have several different notes, of course, pulled up and ready to share. So let's go here to the Content Marketing Institute, which is actually like the epitome source of, obviously, content marketing. So they say, the very first thing they say is a content marketing strategy is different than a content strategy. There are no universal templates for developing a strategy. Your strategy should outline your key business and customer needs and how your content efforts will address them. They continue to go on for a couple of more things, but I felt like this was personally a little vague and difficult to say, like, how am I actually going to incorporate this into my own business? So I did this in true Catherine Jones format, and I went straight to the dictionary. Ready? So, content marketing. So we know content marketing, we know like we're producing content, we're using it for marketing, right? We know those terms pretty well. So let's talk about a strategy. A strategy is a plan, method, or series of maneuvers for obtaining a specific goal or result. So I just want to insert, I know, shocker, right? Okay, a little story right here. Because I have worked with many clients over the years, as you guys know. And in fact, in working with one very recently, it's very much the same thing. And there is no faulting in this, because we as entrepreneurs are known for, something shiny and like little squirrel brains, right? All over the place. This is what we do. We are visionaries. We are amazing at coming up with all sorts of different ideas. But unless we actually have a plan, a method, or a series of maneuvers, right, for obtaining a specific goal or result, if we are not actually setting up what that goal or result is that we want it to be, and then we have a clear plan, it's really easy to just squirrel all over the place and not get things done. So I have taken this entire model here and actually broken this down into what we're talking about is a strategy for content marketing, right? So we are going to be talking about strategy. And of course, I made an acronym because I love me some acronyms. Okay, so let's start with strategy. Strategy, the S is going to stand for shape. And in that, what we're talking about here is we're actually going to shape what our strategy looks like. And so just like the Content Marketing Institute says, and like my dear friend, Mr. Neil Patel says, is that the ultimate goal of content marketing, of course, is to grow your business. But in order to be able to do that, you have to understand your customers, your prospects, your audience. And then once you do understand them, you can create content that solves their problems and grows your business. Make sense? So what we have to do is start with the shape of all things. The shape, partly because it's an S word, but also like, what is the case? What is it? Why are we developing this strategy? Who exactly are our target customer? And I know that we've all gone through this avatar work, and if you're like me, most of the time I'm like, eye roll. I know who my person is that I'm working for. But if you really sit down and you identify, here's the pains that they have, right? How are we solving those pains? How are we different? What is our framework? Just like I'm giving to you guys right here. Strategy, a content marketing strategy. I made strategy, the word, into a framework that I'm sharing so that you guys can remember all of the different points just by remembering this acronym. So we want to shape all of this and looking through, like, here's our differentiators. Here are the pains we're solving, and here's who we're solving them for. Like, this creates the overall, the why, the case for why you need your strategy. Okay, moving on. T. T is for targeting. So we've already identified, here's our main who, right? And then we have, here is their main points. So now we're actually going to take this and we're going to target more specifically what content they need, where they're at. And this is, you guys have heard me talk about it before, but the customer mapping journey. So if you want to call this cold, warm, hot, if you want to call this mapping to the pain point and then to appropriate content and then to a buy cycle. Or we have the awareness level where people are aware of the problem and then they're becoming aware of you and then they're like actually ready to buy. So they're getting into like an awareness phase, a learning phase, and a buying phase, right? So what we're doing is we want to actually go through and say, all right, for all of your prospects and customers, what's the journey we want them to go through? And when they are out here in cold traffic or they're just becoming aware, what's the information that they need to get one step? What's their big pain point right there? What can we provide that is going to help them on that very next step? You're going to continue that all the way through the process. And if you really want bonus points, then you can actually map out your entire value ladder and where people are at on that journey. And then what is the main pain or problem that they have along each step of that journey, and what content is going to help solve that. It's called the audience engagement cycle a lot, the customer journey, whatever you want to use to look that up, but you really want to identify what are the things that they need, what information do they need to solve the pain that they are in at that step right then. That's literally what we want to do. And then we use that information, we use that pain to go perform some keyword research. Because when we are a customer, when you're a customer in pain or you're a prospect in pain and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm aware of this problem, how do I solve it? So what do? You go ask the Google. And then Google gives you answers. Well, we as a company want our information, our valuable resources to show up when our potential prospects and customers ask the Google how to solve their pain, right? So we need to know what the terms are that they're asking Google. So this is where we start creating a list of topics that we know we want to focus on. So here, targeting, we are going to be customer journey mapping or audience engagement, and we're going to figure out what pain we need to solve, what content will help solve that along the way, and what topics, what keywords we are going to make sure that we're sharing with them at that point, right? So that we know we're grabbing that ideal targeted customer or prospect at the right time. Make sense? All right, so we've got strategy, we have S and T. Next up is R. So results. Remember, we said strategy is a plan, method, or series of maneuvers for obtaining a specific goal or result. If we do not know what our goals and results are that we are wanting to go for, then we can't really create a plan to get there. I cannot tell you, I literally even just did this last week, how many customers I've worked with that are like, I don't know, I want to grow my business. Okay, by how much? By when? I don't know. I just want it to grow. If you don't have very specific ideas of what your goals and your results are that you want, you cannot create a plan to get there. So in the R section here in results, we are actually going to focus on what are our goals that we're going for. And in order to achieve those goals, what are the KPIs, the key performance indicators? What are the things that we need to measure? So if you are talking about mostly like putting up blog content, awesome. Blog content out there. So how many visits are you getting to that blog each month or each week Or if it's a social media post, what's the goal of what you want? Or you know that you're going to measure for likes and engagements and comments. So you want to know what are the things that you're going to measure and what are the target goals for each of those things. Okay? All right, strategy, STR. Next up is A, assess. So here is where you are really going to dive into your own core foundation. So you're going to go through and do basically an audit. You're going to assess what you already have. What's your CRM system? So once you actually get a prospect or customer in, where are you storing their information? And then what kinds of marketing automation do you have hooked up into that to make sure that you are delivering the content that you are planning to deliver to the prospect or customer at that point in their journey? Like, do you actually have a tool or method in place to connect with them? And this goes for every opt-in, for every product that you're selling. Like, what are the steps that you have? And is your foundation in place? Is your website where you're posting your blog, is that SEO optimized? Are you actually optimizing your blog posts? You're going to look through all of the content that you have already produced and see like what core foundations you have in place. You're also going to look at, if you've been producing content for a while, you're going to look, what are the top episodes? What are people visiting? What are they wanting to learn? What are they clicking on more? Because that's going to help you understand more of like what is engaging people better, so you know you can do more information on that. Deep dive, create more content, create more valuable information for people along those steps. Whew. All right, we are on to the T from strategy. T stands for types. What we want to do here is we want to look at, where are our prospects and customers hanging out? And this can be, remember, we are not just talking about, like, you can incorporate all sorts of traditional marketing to digital marketing tactics. So this could be trade shows, virtual trade shows. This could be summits. This could be Facebook groups. This could be social media platforms. Are they on Facebook or are they on TikTok? Like, where are your prospects and customers hanging out? Are they largely on LinkedIn? Maybe you need to look at like Parlor, right? Some of the new stuff coming out. And then once you've identified the different channels that people are on, you also want to think about, what are the types of content that I want to share, especially at different steps. HubSpot has a pretty great, pretty short list, but just to give you guys kind of a reference here. Types of content marketing: blog posts, ebooks, case studies, templates, infographics, videos, podcasts, and social media. Those are the 8 most popular types of content marketing. And then there are a ton of other ones that HubSpot has also put together. And I'm not going to read all of them here, but I will include it in the article. But we've got how-tos, content curation, case studies, charts and graphs, ebooks, email newsletters and autoresponders, cartoons, illustrations. You guys, there are a million different ways to create your content in a variety of different formats, right? The thing you want to think about is where your prospect or customer is at on that journey, and what information do they need? How engaged are they? And how easy is this information going to be for them to consume? Like, I would probably not put a full 60-minute webinar in front of just like super cold traffic. I would probably warm them up with some other things like an ebook or a checklist or some other things that are going to be easier for them to consume early on. And then when they get past the awareness stage and they're in the consideration stage and they're actually like, okay, now I understand how to solve my problem, but now I'm considering like, what do I actually buy? So that is where they're a little bit more vested. So you're going to give them things that require more time requirement. Does that make sense? All right. So the T types, that's where we want to assess the different types, what channels we're going to be going, and what types of content we're going to be producing and sharing on those channels. All right. Next up is E. So we're on strategy, right? STRATE is for elect. Here is where you're actually going to go, okay, now I know who I'm going after, where I'm going to go after them, what types of content, what platforms I'm on. Now, this is the big who of like, this is electing. We're delegating people on our team or finding somebody to help. Now this still may be you. This may be you, but you may also have a VA or somebody that you can elect to take over some of these roles, right? So you're actually going to create a plan, actually your process, your different steps of like who is going to do which of these steps. Make sense? Definitely important so that everybody knows their job role and you actually have a clear, cohesive plan to make sure that this is actually going to happen. Okay, now we are on to G. So strategy, S-T-R-A-T-E-G. G is standing for go. This is, you're actually going to create, here is our content calendar, and you're going to actually create the content, distribute it, and promote it. Here's where you're actually putting everything into place. Now we just had like, 5 steps before this? It's so important to make sure that you don't just skip those 5 steps and jump right to content. This is what most marketers do. They're like, oh, I'm going to go create this content. Throw it out there without any idea of who specifically you're targeting, what you're trying to move them to, what your goals are, knowing what to measure, to even know if you did an effective job. We already have all those things in place now. So we are going, right? Boop, right on over. So this is the actual engagement part, right? Now this step, as you know, it just continues and continues and continues. Now, what are the things that feed back into that? Of course, our final step is why, our why in strategy. And that final step, what we want is to measure the yield. And here's what we're measuring our results. We already know what to measure because we decided that with our KPI and what our goals were. So now we're going to look and say, all right, how well did that perform? Did that meet my goals? And you already know that you're measuring. You're measuring your traffic to your website. You're measuring your email open rates. You're measuring your social media engagement. You know exactly what to measure. And that information is going to feed back in. Maybe something that you think was going to be amazing turns out to like flop. Happens all the time. And stuff that you're like, yeah, that's... nobody's going to care about this. Those content sometimes just go right through the roof, right? But you'll never know unless you're actually measuring this. So you want to make sure that you're paying attention to your yield, measuring that, and that's going to feed right back into the types of content, where you're putting it, and then into the go stage. So you're making sure that you're getting all that information continually back out there in your content machine. So there you have it. That is a content marketing strategy, which is not the same as a content strategy, but does include your content strategy because you created an entire content marketing strategy plan, everything, right? And part of that includes your content mapping that you have you're going out. Hopefully that kind of helps clear that up. Check out some of the additional articles and stuff that I included in here. And if you want additional information, make sure that you join our list where we continually share this great information and amazing episodes just like this, right? So go to thevirtualjen.com, check out the blog post on this where we have links to other resources, and join our list. And just make sure you sign up, you guys. That's all it is. We're just going to keep giving you amazing content. And I don't even care. You can stay on my list forever and just keep opening stuff. You don't ever have to buy anything. I promise. All right. That's it for now. We will see you guys on the next episode. Thank you so much. Make sure that you take a shot of this. That was me posing, just so you could take a shot. And share it on social media, how much you liked it. Make sure you go rate and review this episode. Much appreciated. And visit thevirtualjen.com to find out any information about any other products or services that we offer and how to stay engaged and get all of our awesome freebies. All right. See you guys on the next one. Content marketing strategy talks about, let me find it.